Yvonne and Eric, who are talking to us about their amazing podcast and why Kenyans are the people who, ni masters wa Sherehe. But first of all, Yvonne, I wanted to ask you, why House of Sherehe, that name, and what's the podcast about?
The podcast is basically about the science of events management. Everybody has seen the final product of an event. You just buy a ticket and then you go to the event.
Yeah.
So you really don't know the science behind it. You don't know all the planning that went behind it and everything that was put in to have a final product.
True.
And that's what, and everybody wonders that. People are like, oh, how do I become a vendor? Well, if you listen to House of Sherehe, that's how you know. That's how you know, because those are the things that we tackle.
Right. It's the spice, it's the magic to it, yeah?
Yeah.
And you guys have had an amazing first season. Are there any things that you discussed in that first season that you saw come to fruition? Because I feel like sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, am I a fortune teller? Was I able to predict the future?
Yeah, I think there were something about, first of all, we talked about Soul Fest.
Yes.
That was in Kenya, and I'm seeing they're having a really good show in the US. So I'm not sure. So I think I hope they'll bring that magic
to Kenya
over here, because everybody who's in the States who has gone to the show is like, oh, it's perfect, it's amazing, whatnots. They were on time and they showed up.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we're hoping to see. And then another thing is the Nairobi Fest, which we didn't talk about Nairobi Fest, but we talked about like a county doing something for its people. And then, so we're pretty sure the governor listens to our podcast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Shout out.
Signs,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he listens. So that was really good to see, because it had almost everything that we had talked about, like a theme, a very great venue, something that is inclusive, that has arts and it has music, food. It was like, thank you, Sakaja.
He was listening. Do you agree, Eric?
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, we did talk about it.
I love that you guys are, seeing into the future. You guys have a season 2 coming up as well of House of Sherehe. What should we be looking forward to that's different from, season 1?
Well, in season 1, we were highlighting different rooms. Actually, House of Sherehe is a house that has rooms of Sherehe. In these rooms, we talk about vendorship, ticketing, organizing, event bidding. And in season 1, we were introducing those rooms. So in season 2, we are bringing into the podcast real life stories of people who are actually manning these rooms. We are bringing stories from ticketing companies, from vendors, mtu anakuja kuambia mbona nakuzianga sausage 500 like
I
need to know. I agree.
That's why we are bringing stories to life in this new season.
Yeah.
And we hope to challenge the event industry as much as we can. Actually, as Vilkonulize Yvonne, what happened before that actually was quite a thing. Event bidding. We say that for Kenya to host the World Cup, we must do a joint bidding. Guess what the government is doing right now for AFCON?
Yeah,
joint
for AFCON,
bidding.
yeah.
Yep.
They are definitely listening to us.
Let me ask you, is that something that's also going to happen in general with events? Because sometimes this is me speaking as purely, event goer, customer end.
Yeah.
Events feel like they could be better if 2 or 3 people put their heads together as opposed to everyone doing their own separate kind of thing. Is that something we'll also see a growth of? Instead of Eric putting on and Yvonne putting on and David and Mariam, we can come together and put on a really big show or a really big concert or something of the sort.
Actually, if you look at the biggest event in Kenya, for me, I'd say it's WRC. And the reason WRC is that big is because we have a conglomerate of different franchises coming to WRC. We have Koroga there, we have Takeover by our Almost Spies, we have different events happening. Even Amapiano, they all go to WRC. And that makes WRC like everything stops in Kenya. Let's all go to WRC for that. I think whatever you're saying about people coming together and doing one great show, it's amazing.
It's possible. It's doable.
Yeah.
We can see it in action. Is it June, July? Yes,
Yeah,
this
June.
June actually,
Nice.
for the World Rally Championship. Yvonne, tell us how we can listen to House of Sherehe for those who want to learn a thing or two.
You can listen to House of Sherehe exclusively on Nation FM.
Ooh.
There we go.
Shout out. So it will drop every Friday from 10 to 11. A plugin
Yes.
on Nation FM, and other than that, it will be on the NTV YouTube and Spotify, AfriPods, literally every podcast
Platform.
platform out there.
Yeah.
Just search House of Sherehe.
And our Fridays are usually called Sherehe Sharia.
I know.
Perfect,
It's perfect
right?
for it completely.
You heard
Yep.
them 10 to 11 listen to House of Sharia. Thank you so much, Eric, Yvonne, for coming through, sharing. Guys, catch the podcast Fridays from 10 to 11 a.m. Of course, the NTV YouTube page as well, and all platforms where you can catch it was podcast. I was about to say something else. Thank you so much for coming through, guys. We really appreciate you, and for the amazing job you're doing, getting people to know about event management, what goes into putting on these spectacular shows instead of just enjoying.
I know, right?
Backseat enjoying. We've got some rush, Ira Star, but guys, don't be in a rush to leave the studio. Tunawapenda.